Hey to all the spooks out there. Welcome back to another episode of Spine Chilling Chats, where every Wednesday we dig up the darkest corners of true crime, history, folklore, and the supernatural. I'm Ange.
And I'm Amanda.
Today we're diving into one of the most terrifying true crime cases of the 20th century, one that blends doomsday prophecy, mind control, and deadly terrorism. This is a story of Shoko Asahara and the Aum Shinrikyo cult, a group that started as a spiritual movement but spiraled into mass murder and chemical warfare. How did a legally blind yoga instructor become the leader of a doomsday cult responsible for one of Japan's worst terrorist attacks?
Legally blind?
Legally blind.
Huh, okay.
What twisted beliefs led his followers to commit unspeakable crimes in his name? And could something like this happen again? Get ready, because this case is as chilling as it is disturbing. Let's unravel the Aum Shinrikyo and the man who led it to destruction. Shoko Asahara was actually born as Chisao Matsumoto on March 2nd, 1955, to a large, poor family in Kumamoto Prefecture, Japan. And when I say large, I mean he had 6 siblings. He was the 4th son in the family that made tatami mats. That was like their family trade. He was born with infantile glaucoma, which caused him to lose all of his sight in his left eye and go partially blind in his right eye at a young age. Because of this, he was enrolled in the Kumamoto Prefectural School for the Blind when he was 6 years old. This also prevented him from continuing the family trade of tatami mat making, and so he never lived with his family again. He lived in the dormitory at school.
Because he couldn't make mats, they didn't let him live with them?
Yeah, they sent him to, I assume it's like a boarding school type deal then, but for children with impairments.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of shitty, but okay.
Or maybe they thought it would be best for him to be with people who could help him.
I just feel like they kicked him out of the family because he was blind.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
he took great offense to this. Like,
yeah, I would too.
This was a lot of trauma for him because he felt abandoned by his family.
Yeah.
For it. Chisao used what eyesight he still had in his right eye to his benefit, earning money by directing the other blind kids in his school for the blind to the candy store. So he was...
That's cute.
Yeah, he's kind of benefiting from this a little bit. This helped him make friends too, and he was generally well-liked, although he did have a little bit of a bully streak in him. He would take advantage of the other students, beating them up along with extorting them for their money. He often fantasized about ruling a kingdom of robots with total power and told his classmates that one day he wanted to rule Japan as prime minister.
Big dreams.
Yeah. I guess this is going to come off as a really poor joke, but I guess when you have limited sight, it's hard not to set your sights on something big like that.
Oh boy.
Chisao graduated in 1973 and applied to Tokyo University in the hopes of studying politics, but unfortunately he was rejected. He then attended and graduated from a junior college instead in March of 1975. He later informally studied acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, which was a common career for the blind in Japan during that time. He started his own Chinese medicine shop outside of Tokyo.
How's he going to study acupuncture when you're blind?
He's partially blind in his right eye.
I know, but like still, don't you need like to know if you're not sticking it in their fucking eye?
I mean, God, I'm practically legally blind without my glasses.
Me too.
I can't read any of that.
Yeah.
Like seriously. I can kind of make out March of 1975, but it's probably just because I know it says March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be able to see that far. I wouldn't even be able to see this can.
Yeah.
And it's right in front of me. Yeah. I'm fucking legally blind too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't practice acupuncture
No.
because I wouldn't trust myself. So anyway.
So he started his own Chinese medicine shop outside of Tokyo, it was kind of like a pharmacy. A year later, he got married to Tomoko. The couple would eventually have 2 sons and 4 daughters together. Reports mentioned that the couple was happy initially, and Tomoko was given the respect demanded by the leader's wife. She and Shoko welcomed 2 sons and 4 daughters into this world. However, there were allegations, albeit unproven, of the couple favoring their sons while the daughters were typically neglected. But I feel like that's pretty normal. Common in that culture. Please don't quote me because I'm not an expert in Japanese culture, but just, I guess, stereotyping them from what I've seen on television.
Right. And what I read, it's usually they favor the sons, yes. And usually they only have 1 kid, or like Chinese.
That's in China. Yeah.
But they still favor the sons too. Yeah. I mean, I've read that too, and I've seen that, in movies and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That might just be our ignorance.
Yeah.
It probably is our ignorance.
And guess what? If you call us out on it, Ange will get hurt, and I'll be like, I don't give a shit because I, maybe, what do you call it? A little bit ignorant about it, but I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
I want to know, so we'll find out.
In 1981, Chizao was convicted of practicing pharmacy without a license and selling unregulated drugs. So not good.
Mm-mm.
He was fined 200,000 yen, which is about 1,949 USD in 2025. He started looking at religion, spending his free time studying all sorts of different ideas from Chinese astrology to Taoism, later practicing yoga, meditation, Buddhism, and Christianity. Starting in 1984, Chizao made several pilgrimages to India where he met Tenzin Gyatso, who is the 14th Dalai Lama.
Oh.
Yeah, so he actually met him, and I guess they were actually pretty close, but after all this went down, the Dalai Lama distanced himself.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Chizao later claimed to his followers that he managed to achieve enlightenment, met Shiva, who is one of their deities, and was given a special mission to preach real Buddhism in Japan. The Dalai Lama, like I said, later distanced himself from Chizao and said that he had met a strange Japanese man, but denied having any significant relationship with him. Chizao returned permanently to Japan in 1987, changed his name to Shoko Asahara, and assumed the title Sanshi, which means guru, before claiming that he had mastered meditation to such an extent that he could actually lift himself with his mind and literally levitate. And there is a picture that circulates online of him sitting cross-legged and he's levitated.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. He did, however, promote this himself on pamphlets that he produced by his own publishing company. So how legitimate it was, it's hard to say. But outside a few Japanese periodicals with an occult subject, he didn't get much publicity. I'm going to refer to him as Shoko from this point forward, as that is how he's infamously known, and we're going to see a change from who Chizao was to who Shoko becomes. Because he did start out wanting to be all about the meditation and yoga and peace, and that is not where he ends up. He taught a yoga and meditation class known as Aum Shinrikyo, which roughly means Aum Heavenly Sage Association. It grew pretty steadily in the years that followed and gained official status as a religious organization in 1989. It attracted a considerable number of graduates from Japan's elite universities, thus being dubbed a religion for the elite. Shoko became obsessed with biblical prophecies. Aum's public relations activities included publishing comics and animated cartoons that attempted to tie its religious ideas to popular anime and manga themes, including space missions, powerful weapons, world conspiracies, and the quest for ultimate truth. Aum published several magazines, including
Vajayjay.
magazines including the Vajrayana Saka and Enjoy Happiness, adopting a somewhat missionary attitude. They advertised and tried to recruit others by claiming the ability to cure physical illnesses with techniques to improve health. This was to be accomplished by practicing ancient teachings accurately translated from original Pali Sutras. These efforts resulted in Aum becoming one of the fastest growing religious movements. Although Aum was always considered pretty controversial in Japan, even in the beginning, it was not initially associated with serious crimes. The cult started attracting controversy in the late 1980s with accusations of deception of recruits, including crazy initiation rituals requiring hallucinogens like LSD, holding cult members against their will, and forcing members to donate money, murdering a cult member who tried to leave in February of 1989.
So your typical
Cult.
or your typical what do you call those college ones?
Oh, fraternities?
Fraternities.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Hazing. In October of 1989, the group's negotiations with Tsutsumi Sakamoto, an anti-cult lawyer, threatening a lawsuit against them, which could potentially bankrupt the group, failed. In the same month, Sakamoto recorded an interview for a talk show on the Japanese TV station TBS. The network then had the interview secretly shown to the group without notifying Sakamoto, initially breaking protection of sources, which is a big no-no.
Mm-mm.
The group then pressured TBS to cancel the broadcast. Several days later, on November 3rd, 1989, several Aum Shinrikyo members, including Hideo Murai, chief scientist, Satoru Hashimoto, a martial arts master, Tomomasa Nakagawa, and Kazuaki Akazaki drove to Yokohama, where Sakamoto lived.
Okay, say all of that 5 times fast.
And I know I butchered it all, but it is what it is.
Jesus.
They carried a pouch with 14 hypodermic needles and a supply of potassium chloride. According to court testimony provided by the perpetrators later on, they planned to use the chemical substance to kidnap Sakamoto from Yokohama Shinkansen train station, but contrary to expectations, he did not show up. It was a holiday, the culture day, so he slept in with his family at home. At 3 a.m. on November 5th, the group entered Sakamoto's apartment through an unlocked door. Tsutsumi Sakamoto was struck on the head with a hammer, injected with potassium chloride, and strangled. His wife, Satoko Sakamoto, who was just 29 years old, was beaten and injected with potassium chloride. And most heartbreakingly, their 14-month-old son, Tatsuhiko Sakamoto, was injected with potassium chloride, and then his face was covered with a cloth. The family's remains were placed in metal drums and hidden in 3 separate rural areas in 3 different prefectures, so that in case the bodies were uncovered, the police wouldn't link them all together.
How sad. Like, that 14-month-old didn't do shit. Well, probably none of them have done anything.
No, he was just talking about, he was going against the cult. And TBS let the cult see it.
And now 3 people are dead.
Yeah. They burned the sheets from their beds and threw the tools they used into the ocean. They even destroyed the family's teeth so no dental records would be able to be used to identify them. Their bodies were not found until the cult members revealed the locations after they were captured in a connection with a later attack. By the time police searched the areas in which the victims were placed, their bodies were nothing more than bones. TBS kept the showing of the video secret until March 25th of 1996. This led to strong criticism that it contributed to the murder, which in my humble opinion sounds to be true to me. In 1991, Aum began to use wiretapping to get NTT uniforms, equipment, and created a manual for wiretapping. The cult is known to have considered assassinations of several individuals critical of the cult, such as the heads of Buddhist sects Shoko Gakkai and the Institute for Research in Human Happiness. How can you go after somebody that works in the Institute for Research in Human Happiness?
Right.
Like
they would do anything to be shitty.
Like, come on. After cartoonist Yoshinori Kobayashi began...
I just like saying it. It sounds familiar too.
Began satirizing the cult, he was included on Aum's assassination list then. An assassination attempt was then made on Kobayashi in 1993. In July of 1993, cult members sprayed large amounts of liquid containing Bacillus anthracis spores from a cooling tower on the roof of Aum Shinrikyo's Tokyo headquarters. Luckily, their plan to cause an anthrax epidemic failed. The attack resulted in a large number of complaints about bad odors, but no infections were reported.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Do you remember when we had that big anthrax scare?
Like everybody was afraid to open their mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
At the end of 1993, the cult started secretly manufacturing the nerve agent sarin and later VX. VX, or venomous agent X, is an extremely toxic synthetic chemical compound in the organophosphorus class, specifically a thiophosphonate. In the class of nerve agents, it was developed for military use in chemical warfare after a translation of earlier discoveries of organophosphate toxicity and pesticide research. Aum tested its sarin on sheep at Banjawarn Station, a remote pastoral property in Western Australia, which killed 29 sheep. Both sarin and VX were then used in several assassinations and attempts over 1994 through 1995. On June 27, 1994 at night, the cult carried out a chemical weapon attack against civilians when they released sarin in the central Japanese city of Matsumoto, Nagano. Aum's original plan to release the aerosol into Matsumoto courthouse was altered when the cult members arrived in the city after the courthouse had closed. They decided to instead target a 3-story apartment building where the city's judges resided, who were overseeing a lawsuit concerning a real estate dispute, which was predicted to go against the cult. At 10:40 p.m., members of Aum used a converted refrigerator truck to release a cloud of sarin which floated near the home of the judges. The truck's cargo space held a heating contraption that had been specifically designed to turn 12 liters of liquid sarin into an aerosol, and the fans then diffused the aerosol into the neighborhood. Residents of Matsumoto had also angered Shoko by vigorously opposing his plan to set up an office and factory in the city's southern area. Opponents of the plan gathered 140,000 signatures on an anti-Aum petition, which made up about 70% of Matsumoto's population at the time. So if you went against him, you were going to pay for it. He sent his little minions. At 11:30 p.m., Matsumoto police received an urgent report from paramedics that casualties were being transported to hospital. The patients were suffering from darkened vision, eye pain, headaches, nausea, diarrhea, miosis, which is constricted pupils, and numbness in their hands. Some victims described having seen a fog with a pungent and irritating smell floating by. A total of 274 people were treated. 5 dead residents were discovered in their apartments, and 2 died in a hospital immediately after admission. An 8th victim, Sumiko Kono, remained in a coma for 14 years before eventually passing away in 2008.
Jesus.
Could you imagine? Like, you're just chilling at home, some nasty fart comes around, and you're in a coma for 14 years and then die.
You pass away. Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
I mean, if I wasn't dead, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. Police investigations focused only on an innocent local resident, Yoshiyuki Kouno, and failed to implicate the cult at the time. Really? You think just a normal local resident is going to, like, put that into the air?
Right, for no reason.
You're not going to be looking at this cult that's
been
having happenings around your area? At the end of 1994, the cult broke into the Hiroshima factory of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in an attempt to steal technical documents on military weapons such as tanks and artillery. In December of 1994 and January 1995, Aum Shinrikyo member Masami Tsuchiya synthesized 100 to 200 grams of VX, which was used to attack 3 people. On December 2nd, Noboru Mizuno, who was believed to have assisted former members of Aum, was attacked with syringes containing VX gas, leaving him in a serious condition. Tadahito Hamaguchi, who Shoko suspected was a spy, was attacked at 7 a.m. on December 12, 1994, on the street in Osaka by Tomomitsu Nimi and another Aum member. They sprinkled the nerve gas onto his neck. Which, how do you sprinkle gas?
It says agent.
Oh,
so maybe it was the powder form.
Oh, in powder form.
Or liquid form.
Okay. He chased them for about 100 yards before he collapsed. He died 10 days.
At least he tried to protect himself, but
yeah, chasing after them.
Yeah.
He died 10 days later without coming out of a deep coma. Doctors in the hospital suspected at the time he had been poisoned with an organophosphate pesticide. But the cause of death was pinned down only after cult members arrested for a different attack confessed to the killing. Unlike the cases for sarin, VX was not used for mass murder. On January 4th, 1995, the cult tried to kill Hiroyuki Nagaoka, an important member of the Aum Victims Society, a civil, so they made a whole society for victims.
I was just going to say that.
of Aum, a civil organization that protested against the sect's activities in the same way. In February of 1995, several cult members kidnapped Kiyoshi Kariya, the 69-year-old brother of a member who had escaped from the cult, from a Tokyo street and took him to a compound near Mount Fuji, where he was killed. His corpse was destroyed in a microwave-powered incinerator and the remnants disposed of in Lake Kawaguchi, which, where the hell does one buy a microwave-powered incinerator?
Right. And strong enough to destroy a fucking human.
Like, where do you buy this? Where?
Okay. So supposedly China and Japan and all them are light years ahead of us. So it's very possible that it existed and they knew how to build it.
I'm sure it existed, but what normal people know how to make such a contraption?
No clue.
I mean, unless, I guess being in a cult, they probably did like get members from a bunch of different walks of life. Like, I'm sure they had doctors. I'm sure they had police officers. They probably have scientists. I mean, they're making their own fucking nerve gas,
Agents, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it's not that crazy to think they had scientists or engineers or whatever. It's just crazy.
It is crazy. Like, yeah, how do you even come up with something like that? Let's make a microwave-powered incinerator. Like,
and totally obliviate a body in it. Like,
who thinks of stuff like that?
I'm sure there's easier ways to dispose of a body. That just seems like a lot of effort for little return. I don't know. Before Kariya was abducted, he had been receiving threatening phone calls demanding to know the whereabouts of his sister who had escaped. And he had left a note saying, "If I disappear, I was abducted by Aum Shinrikyo." So he knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Police made plans to simultaneously raid cult facilities across Japan in March of 1995. Prosecutors alleged Shoko was tipped off about this and that he had ordered the Tokyo subway attack to divert police attention. So, yeah, if he was tipped off, I would say he probably has insiders everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Aum had also attempted to manufacture 1,000 assault rifles, but only completed one.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
According to the testimony of Kenichi Hirose at the Tokyo District Court in 2000, Shoko wanted the group to be self-sufficient in manufacturing copies of the Soviet Union's main infantry weapon, the AK-74. One rifle was smuggled into Japan to be studied so that Aum could reverse engineer it and mass produce the AK-74. Police seized the AK-74 components and blueprints from a vehicle used by an Aum member on April 6, 1995. On the morning of March 20th, 1995, Aum members released a binary chemical weapon chemically most closely similar to sarin gas in a coordinated attack on 5 different trains in the Tokyo subway system, killing 13 commuters, seriously injuring 54, and affecting 980 more. Some estimates claim as many as 6,000 people were injured by the sarin gas. It is difficult to obtain exact numbers since many victims are reluctant to come forward for fear of death.
Right, as they should be.
Prosecutors allege that Shoko was tipped off by an insider about the police raids on cult facilities and ordered an attack in the central Tokyo to divert the police attention away from the group. The attack evidently backfired and police conducted huge simultaneous raids on the cult compound across the country. Over the next weeks, the full scale of Aum's activities was revealed for the first time. At the cult's headquarters on the foot of Mount Fuji, police found explosives, chemical weapons, and the Russian military Mi-17 helicopter. Is that how you would say it? I don't know how you speak military vehicles. While the finding of biological warfare agents such as anthrax and Ebola cultures was reported, those claims now appear to have been widely exaggerated. There were stockpiles of chemicals that could be used for producing enough sarin to kill 4 million people. That is a lot.
4
million.
Wow.
On March 30th, 1995, Takagi Kunimatsu, chief of the National Police Agency, was shot 4 times near his house in Tokyo and was seriously wounded. While many suspected Aum's involvement in the shooting, the Sankei Shimbun reported that Hiroshi Nakamura is suspected of the crime, but nobody has been charged. On April 23rd, 1995, Hideo Murai, the head of Aum's Ministry of Science, was stabbed to death outside the cult's Tokyo headquarters amidst a crowd of about 100 reporters in front of cameras. The man responsible was a Korean member of Yamaguchi Gumi, which sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me think of Tamaguchi, the little pets. I probably still have mine up
I was
in
just thinking
my
that.
mom's attic somewhere. Mine was like a purple glittery.
Yeah, I don't know. What mine? I think mine was just plain. It's been so long ago.
Yeah, that was a lifetime ago.
My gosh. I forgot all about that till you just said that.
Yeah. They have them again now.
They do.
Yeah, you can buy them.
Mm-hmm.
So the Korean member of Yamaguchi Gumi was arrested and eventually convicted of the murder. His motive remains unknown, but I mean, I don't see why they even bothered arresting him though. Like, he killed one of the cult leaders. You know, like, go team.
Yeah. Good for him.
Why are we
pat on the back? Why
punishing
are we getting him
this
in
man?
trouble?
His motive remains unknown. On the evening of May 5th, a burning paper bag was discovered in a toilet in Tokyo's busy Shinjuku station.
How does that happen? It's in a toilet, but it's burning.
Maybe it's like setting on top, or maybe there wasn't much water in there. I don't know. Upon examination, it was revealed that it was a hydrogen cyanide device, which, had it not been extinguished in time, would have released enough gas into the ventilation system to potentially kill 10,000 commuters.
Jeez.
On July 4th, several undetonated cyanide devices were found at other locations in the Tokyo subway. So this is making me scared of public transportation.
Especially in Japan.
I mean, you don't got to worry about the bed bugs on the train. Now you got to worry about cyanide devices. During this time, numerous cult members were arrested for various offenses, but arrests of the most senior members on the charge of the subway gassing had not yet taken place. In June, an individual unrelated to Aum had launched a copycat attack by hijacking all Nippon Airways Flight 857, a Boeing 747, bound for Hakodate from Tokyo. The hijacker claimed to be an Aum member in possession of sarin and plastic explosives, but these claims were ultimately found to be false. Shoko was finally found hiding within a wall of a cult building known as the Sixth Station in the complex on the foot of Mount Fuji on May 16th and was arrested. On the same day, the cult mailed a parcel bomb to the office of Yukio Aoshima, the governor of Tokyo, blowing off the fingers of his secretary's hands.
Jesus.
Yeah, like, wasn't even for her, and she's lost her fingers.
Yeah. Jeez.
And this, like I said, this was supposed to be meditation and yoga.
Yeah, and this dude's fucking crazy.
Now they just killing everybody. On June 21st, 1995, Shoko acknowledged that in January 1994, he had ordered the killing of a sect member, Kotaro Oshida, who was a pharmacist at an Aum hospital. Oshida, who tried to escape from the sect compound, was held down and strangled by another Aum member who was allegedly told that he too would be killed if he did not strangle Oshida. Which I can believe that too. Like,
my life or yours, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to strangle you.
Sorry.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I would have it.
I would just be like, just act like you're dead.
Yeah.
And then they would act like they're dead. And
and then they get thrown into the microwave incinerator.
We'll be like, I'll take care of the body in a little bit, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll both escape.
And do it like, what is it? The game show. The Japanese game show. that's popular right now.
Oh.
What is that called?
Squid Games.
Squid Games, yes. It's just like Squid Games where they put the X on the coffin box that has somebody that's still alive so they can harvest their organs. Mm-hmm. So put a little X on his
body.
Yeah. Fumihiro Joyu, one of the few senior leaders of the group under Shoko who did not face serious charges, became official head of the organization in 1999. Koki Ishii, a legislator who formed an anti-Aum committee in the National Diet in 1999, was murdered in 2002. At 11:50 on December 31st, 2011, Makoto Hirata surrendered himself to the police and was arrested on suspicion of being involved in the 1995 abduction of Kiyoshi Kariya, a non-member who had died during the Aum kidnapping interrogation. Shoko Asahara faced 27 counts of murder in 13 separate indictments. The prosecution argued that Shoko gave orders to attack the Tokyo subway to overthrow the government and install himself in the position of Emperor of Japan, which, I mean, that's what he wanted as a kid. Mm-hmm. So I can believe that that was his ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Later during the trial, which took more than 7 years to conclude, the prosecution forwarded an additional theory that the attacks were ordered to divert police attention away from Aum. The prosecution also accused him of masterminding the Matsumoto incident in the Sakamoto family murder. During the trials, some of the disciples testified against Shoko, and he was found guilty on 13 of the 17 charges, including the Sakamoto family murder. 4 charges were dropped. On February 27, 2004, he was sentenced to death. The trial was called the Trial of the Century by Japanese media. The defense appealed against Shoko's sentence on the grounds that he was mentally unfit and psychiatric examinations were undertaken. During much of the trials, he remained silent or only muttered to himself. However, he communicated with the staff at his detention facility, which convinced the examiner that Shoko was maintaining his silence out of free will. So there wasn't anything mentally wrong with him.
Yeah. And nobody was forcing him to do it.
Yes. Owing to his lawyer's failure to submit the statement of reason for appeal, the Tokyo High Court decided on March 27, 2006, not to grant him leave to appeal. This decision was upheld by the Supreme Court of Japan on September 15, 2006. 2 retrial appeals were declined by the appellate court. In June 2012, Shoko's execution was postponed due to arrest of several fugitive Aum Shinrikyo members. Shoko Asahara was executed by hanging at the Tokyo Detention House on July 6, 2018.
So they still had hanging.
Yeah, and that took a long time. He actually didn't get executed until 2018.
Yeah,
along with 6 other cult members. Relatives of the victims said that they approve of the execution, which I would agree. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Shoko Asahara's final words, as reported by officials, assigned his remains to his 4th daughter, who was unsympathetic to the cult and stated she planned to dispose of the ashes at sea. This was contested by Shoko's wife, 3rd daughter, and other family members who were suspected of wanting to enshrine the ashes where believers can honor them.
Mm-hmm.
Until 2024, the ashes remained at the Tokyo Detention House. In 2021, the Supreme Court of Japan ordered Asahara's remains to be released to his 2nd daughter, which was affirmed by the Tokyo District Court in 2024. Aum Shinrikyo is a syncretic belief system that draws upon Shoko Asahara's idiosyncratic interpretations of elements of early Indian Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, as well as Hinduism. Taking Shiva as the main image of worship, it also incorporates Christian millennialist ideas, the theory and practice of yoga, and the writings of Nostradamus. Its founder, Shoko, claimed that he sought to restore original Buddhism, but employed Christian millennialist rhetoric. In 1992, Shoko published a foundational book declaring himself to be Christ, Japan's only fully enlightened master, as well as identifying himself as the Lamb of God. Shoko Asahara's purported mission was to take upon himself the sins of the world, and he claimed he could transfer spiritual power to his followers and ultimately take away their sins and bad deeds. While some scholars reject Aum Shinrikyo's claims of Buddhist characteristics and affiliations with Japanese Buddhism, other scholars refer to it as an offshoot of Japanese Buddhism, and this was how the movement generally defined and saw itself. Their teachings claimed a nuclear apocalypse was predicted to occur soon as a result of a conspiracy involving Jewish financiers, Freemasons, and war profiteers. The United States would lead a Western nuclear attack on Japan in 2000 or 2006, and World War III would start. It would be fought with particle beam weapons. Like a laser gun?
Because all that happened.
Well, it's saying this is what his prophecies were.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It would be fought with particle beam weapons. According to Robert J. Lifton, an American psychiatrist and author, Asahara described a final conflict culminating in a nuclear Armageddon, borrowing the term from the Book of Revelation 16:16. Humanity would end except for the elite few who joined Aum. Aum's mission was not only to spread the word of salvation, but also to survive these end times. Shoko Asahara predicted the gathering at Armageddon would happen in 1997. Kaplan notes that in his lectures, Shoko Asahara referred to the United States as the Beast from the Book of Revelation, predicting it would eventually attack Japan. Shoko Asahara outlined a Doomsday prophecy, which included the Third World War instigated by the U.S. Which, I mean, he's probably not that far off.
Just a couple of years
after
he said it was going to happen.
In the opinion of Daniel A. Matro, Aum Shinrikyo justified its violence through its own unique interpretation of Buddhist ideas and doctrines, such as the Buddhist concepts of Mapo and Shobo. Aum claimed that by bringing about the end of the world, they would restore Shobo. Furthermore, Lifton believes Shoko Asahara interpreted the Tibetan Buddhist concept of Phawa in order to claim that by killing someone contrary to group's aims, they were preventing them from accumulating bad karma and thus saving them. The name Aum Shinrikyo, usually rendered in English as Aum Supreme Truth, derives from the Sanskrit syllable Aum, used to represent the universe, followed by the Japanese Shinrikyo, meaning roughly teaching of truth, written in kanji. In January 2000, the organization changed its name to Aleph, a reference to the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it also replaced its logo. So if you're going to go ahead and change your name and change your logo, why not just disband and create a whole new
That's what I was going to say.
organization? According to the June 2005 report by the National Police Agency, Aleph had approximately 1,650 members, of whom 650 lived communally in compounds. The group operated 26 facilities in 17 prefectures and about 120 residential facilities. An article in the Mainichi Shinbun newspaper on September 11th, 2002, showed that the Japanese public still distrusts LF, and compounds are usually surrounded by protest banners from local residents, which I don't blame them. I would be leery of them too after all that you did, and then you're just going to change your name and your logo? Like, come on.
Right.
In November of 2017, Japanese police raided 5 offices of the left in an investigation into the group's recruiting practices after a woman paid tens of thousands of yen for study sessions. On January 1st, 2019, in Tokyo, Aum sympathizer Kazuhiro Kusakabe told authorities he intentionally rammed into pedestrians crowded into narrow Takeshita Street in Harajuku District as a terrorist attack in retaliation for an execution. It remains unclear whether he was referencing the 2018 executions of Aum Shinrikyo's Doomsday cult members directly or making a broader statement. The attack on New Year's Day left 8 injured. A 9th person was also directly injured by the driver. And that is Shoko Asahara and the Aum Shinrikyo cult. And they were bad.
Yeah. What a shit show.
Right. That's...
How are you going to go from all love and peace and calmness to fucking cults and killing with biological warfare? I don't get it.
It's a fine line, my friend.
I guess.
It's a fine line.
I guess. Jesus.
Let's light some incense and get stoned versus
let's kill people.
Let's kill everybody.
Jesus.
Let's murder babies.
Priorities, I guess.
Let's create a microwave that incinerates bodies.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. I'll be a lot more careful on
public transportation
for sure.
Heck yeah.
Luckily, I've only actually had to take public transportation. Like, I took the train once to Chicago.
That's it?
Maybe a bus here or there. Like, we took a little bus from our KOA campground to the ferry for Mackinac Island.
Okay.
But that's it. Like,
I've taken the train to Chicago a couple times. I had to take the subway in Chicago a couple times.
I've never taken the subway.
I've had to take the little rail car at the Atlanta airport. So you go downstairs and it's this little cart that goes back and forth to take you to the terminals. Planes.
I've never been on a plane.
I've had to take those big, huge buses. What are they called?
Greyhound. I've been on Greyhound bus. We took one.
A couple of those.
In high school when we went down to Disney World to march in their Thanksgiving Day parade.
Okay.
For band.
Yep. And I don't think, and I haven't actually taken like dial ride, but I have rode on their bus before training.
Yeah.
But that's all. I mean, I've been on quite a few and I'm still alive.
So far.
I feel like, I don't know if I'm in a coma because like we discussed that other time, I could be in a coma and this is an alternate life.
Yeah.
So.
This could all just be a figment of our imagination.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm alive. It hurts when I get hurt.
Yeah. But I don't know if I would feel pain in a dream or not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
But I mean, like, I feel pain.
But how do you know you wouldn't
in a dream? Or do
I
feel pain?
Yeah. How do we know? How do we know? But if you like this episode and want to see others or listen to others like it, check out our website, www.spine-chillingchatspodcast.com. There you can also submit stories that you have of ghost sightings, cryptid sightings, any fairy fucking you've been doing, any glitches in the Matrix,
Anything.
Any true crime stories you want us to cover, let us
Mm-hmm.
know. We will look it up. We will do the research and we will get it out to you.
Yep. And we can say it's from you, or we can keep it anonymous. It's up to you.
Yep.
Just let us know.
You can also submit those to our email if you'd rather do it that way at spinechillingchatspodcast@gmail.com. And there is no hyphen in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to show off my nails. Amanda and I have started doing dip powder since last fall, really. Like regularly.
Yeah.
You had done it prior.
I've done it for
I had never done it
a couple
before.
years, but I wasn't consistent.
Yeah. And so, like, every week we've been doing our nails.
Yeah. And then sometimes we'll have a little nail party.
Yeah. Anyways, you can also...
Side note.
Yeah. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube if you want to watch this in video form. Anywhere you get podcasts, you can find us.
That's it. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook,
TikTok.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, buy our merch.
Buy our merch. Also on our website, you can get old stories.
Yeah, there's
look at our bios.
Yeah.
Things like
we
that.
have our photo shoot on there from
Halloween
in a graveyard.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, we hope you enjoy this. We hope you come back. And most important, we hope you keep it spooky. Bye, guys.
Bye.